I'm Pastor Herc. I'm the pastor here, and I'd like to welcome everybody. It's just a blessing to me to see so many people here this morning. This is going to be a great event. I really look forward to hearing what Kris has to say. I think most of you have kind of followed what's going on with Kris. Some of you may have already read the book. I have. And it's a wonderful book, a portrayal of brave men trying to save lives. So we're going to hear more about that this morning. I mentioned where the bathrooms were. There's the men's room and the women's room in the fellowship hall. There's also a men's room out in the entryway as you come in. We're going to open in prayer. I think we've got most everybody here this morning, so let's open in prayer. Kris, would you come over here?
Sure.
Get my two deacons back here. Do you go by Kris or Tanto?
Either. Doesn't matter. I answer
I
everything.
go by Herc or Harold.
Herc or Tano. Hey you. Hey, that works.
Let's pray. Lord, we come before you this morning with grateful hearts. We're grateful for the opportunity to hear Kris this morning and hear what he has to say. And I know early on in the planning for this, I mentioned to my daughter Kim, who's kind of been behind all of this, and I said it would be neat if we could just kind of play on a scripture for this. And I said something like, there's no greater love than that a man would lay down his life for a friend. And lo and behold, on the back of Tanto's shirt is John 15:13, which says exactly that. There's no greater love than that one would lay down his life for a friend. We're going to hear this morning how many men were involved in laying down their lives to save and protect life. Some even went so far as to lose their life. Lord, we just lift them up to you, Lord, and put them in your hands. We lift Kris up to you this morning as he speaks, and just pray that you'll give him the exact words that he needs to speak. We pray that when he leaves here, you will continue to bless him and his wife as they travel, Lord, and we know they have another engagement that they're leaving here, heading straight to. So protect them, watch over them, give them travel mercies. And I just pray your blessing on Kris and his wife and his family, and just pray that you'll continue to guide them and watch over them. Make their path straight, Lord. We pray this morning in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Welcome to the Little Church of the Pines, and I'm going to turn it over to Kim.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for making this happen. And I'm sorry, for some reason, I keep getting emotional. This has been a long journey. I tried to bring Kris out in July, and it just didn't seem to be the right time, people on vacation and whatever. And obviously, this is the right time, and a blessed time at that. And with the help of my parents, the senior pastor, sorry, God, this is so embarrassing. Go, I know I need like a nail in my shoe or whatever. That's probably not
I
gonna
can. You want me to?
help. But anyway.
You want me to come and?
I know. You want to try?
No.
So anyway, I'd like to bring forward Tim Roach. He is a former Navy veteran, or not former. He is a Navy veteran, and we're going to do a flag salute to start this off right.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now we're going to have a couple of really awesome videos. We have the back door shut so we can have it a little bit darker in here. We're going to show a featurette and then a really exciting,
cool.
very intense movie trailer.
And I was with the 2nd Battalion 74th Ranger Regiment in Bravo Company.
My name's John Tigan, former Marine. Did 4 years.
Thanks for playing this.
3rd
I didn't know
Battalion,
you guys
7th
were gonna do
Marines.
this.
My name is Mark Geist. My call sign is Oz. I was in the Marine Corps for 12 years. I was in Benghazi for about 30 days when the attack happened that night. Everybody, this is Jack Silva. It's our 3rd contract together, so he knows the drill.
We had a DB, former Marine, Jack, who was a SEAL. And Rome, he was a SEAL. It was a good crew.
Now Pablo is, I'll show you.
13 hours just tells the minute-by-minute story of what happened that night. Trying to get what we all
This
did,
guy
what
right
we
that's
went
walking
through.
and shakes his hand, that's me. That's supposed to be me. So
We
you guys got the
decided that
tattoo.
The story that wasn't being told out there was what actually happened that night, and so we felt compelled to
He
make
is
sure
he
the
is a
story
huge
gets out
part
to
of the
right
movie.
way.
He's
It's
not
about
much in the
politics,
trailers, but
it's
he's
the story of what happened on the ground.
GRS stands for Global Response Services. We're mainly used in high-threat areas.
We are the security element for the Central Intelligence Agency, and we just provide protection in austere environments.
Hey, we're coming in, we're on property! It's Kris inside, and he's still inside!
All of us were former military, spec ops guys or Marines. You're working with some of the top guys in their respective services.
13 hours was how long we were in the fight that night.
The state guys, we just heard them on the radio say, hey, if you guys don't get over here, we're all going to die. And we just kind of looked at each other and said, we got to go now.
None of you have to go.
that guy's me.
We are the only help they have.
Americans help Americans overseas, especially in areas where there wasn't any military support.
We had to go, no matter what. Damn the consequences.
That's a win, here we go. Roll.
Our director is Michael Bay. He's been very respectful to us, and he's taken this seriously, and he's got us involved.
Michael has that vision of what he wants, and he's doing it in a way so it's as accurate as possible.
Ready and go. You won't touch it.
My teammates did so many amazing things, and it's a story of a battle, it's a story of a lot of sacrifice that went on. It shows that there's still guys out there that are willing to sacrifice their lives for others, you know, to put others before themselves.
Very good. Got it. Beautiful.
Benghazi is under attack. We need immediate assistance.
You're the U.S. ambassador of risk. You gotta send us. You're not the first responders. You will wait. We have no jurisdiction in this country. We're not even supposed to be here.
Losing initiative.
Stand down.
If you do not get your submit,
We're all gonna die.
None of you have to go. We are the only help they have.
Hey, we're coming in, we're on property. We're on the heavy fire. Chief. Are we expecting any friendlies?
I am not aware of any friendlies. We're gonna unleash hate on these guys. What you do right now will determine whether we live or die.
As long as I'm doing the right thing, God will take care of me.
If you don't stand fast, Americans are going to die, including the one talking to you right now.
You're not giving me what you need. You're in my world now. I thought about my family once tonight. Thinking about them now. Up here in the middle of all this. Thinking about my girls, man.
So Kris Paronto, Tanto, as he is affectionately known in security contracting circles, is a former Army Ranger from 2nd Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment, and private security contractor who was deployed throughout South America, Central America, the Middle East, and North Africa. He also worked with the U.S. government global response staff, conducting low-profile security in high-threat environments throughout the world. Paronto was part of the CIA Annex security team that responded to the terrorist attack on the U.S. Special Mission in Benghazi, Libya, September 11th, 2012. In an angel
That's right.
helping to save over 20 lives while fighting off terrorists from the CIA Annex for over 13 hours. Tanto's story is told in the book 13 Hours, written by Mitchell
Zukov. There
and
you
his
go.
5 surviving Annex security team members. Tanto was born in Alamosa, Colorado, and obtained his bachelor's degree from Mesa State College in Grand Junction, Colorado, and master's degree from the University of Nebraska at Omaha. He served 4 years in the U.S. Army and an additional 4 years in the U.S. Army National Guard, reaching the rank of sergeant, then becoming a commissioned officer in 2003. He started contracting for Blackwater Security Consulting in 2003 and continued to deploy on various security contracts to include the Global Response Staff until 2013. So he's not just a pretty face. He's been involved in security operations in hostile environments for over 10 years. His team's involvement with the September 11, 2012 attack on the U.S. Special Mission in Benghazi, Libya, was paramount in saving the lives of U.S. lives and assets. He is a proven leader, a teammate, a friend to those who have deployed with him, and a devout father of 3, and a personal friend of mine, Kris Paronto.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'll try. If you guys can't hear me, sometimes I'll let this drop. So, Pastor, thanks for the prayer before. The only thing is, she'd be lucky if she was my wife. She's my publicist. Like, oh my gosh, don't ever say that again. That's where that's, wow. It's like, please no, did I miss something? We didn't go to Vegas or something, did we? All right. No, but thank you. And I appreciate y'all having me here. And what I'm going to do is, if in about an hour, I'm going to tell you what took place here that night. And, you know, I do talk about, or I don't, there you go. You know, I do talk about how faith was involved with it. And we're good?
We were prepared for this.
Is that a backup? Look at that. I got 2 of them. Oh, wow, that's even better. I like that.
Both you've been steering.
I know, isn't it? We should put one over here. But I'm just kind of going to get into it. Some of y'all know the story of what happened. I think there's something right here. I'm just going to stay right here. But there are things that still maybe weren't in the book, or things that, of course, haven't been on the media. Some things are going to be hard for you to hear, but I'm going to tell you anyway. You're going to find out that after everything was happened, that we were basically left. And we, on our own accord, we found our way to get out of there. But I'll keep going into it. Also, I'm sorry, one more thing. If you need to get up and use the bathroom, please do. Doesn't offend me. If I'm saying stuff that makes you uncomfortable, I have spoken to veterans before, especially the ones from the Vietnam era, and it brings back a lot of memories of stuff I talk about, and sometimes they have to get up, and that's fine. I totally understand. I have to keep my head down to watch the trailer because I get emotional myself. So it doesn't offend me. I'm not politically correct. Even though we're in a church, I'll keep my profanity to a minimum. I do. But, you know, I'm not. So if you're easily offended by political correctness or uncorrectness, well, then you probably want to leave now, because I'm not gonna dumb that down at all. 9/11, 2012. That day was basically like any other day that we had. It was pretty quiet. I mean, when I say it's quiet, it was quiet because nobody was attacking us. There's still stuff going on in the city. There always is. I worked in, every major city in Iraq and Afghanistan up to that point. and spent some time in Pakistan as well. And it's all the same. There's going to be attacks. There's going to be things dying. There's going to be things that are happening, and even just daily occurrences that just car wrecks and such that you just get kind of acclimated to it. And that's how it was in Benghazi. We were there initially to, and I want to clarify this, we were with the CIA, we weren't with the State Department. We had no allegiance to the State Department aside from them being Americans. We had no responsibility to protect them. We had no responsibility to Ambassador Stevens. We had given our word 30 to 45 days prior that if they ever needed us, that we would come and help them, because we knew they were undermanned. They were at the consulate, we're at the annex about 3/4 mile away. Those guys had 6 people there with probably about 12 years military experience between them. And it was, you know, 8-acre large compound. Ambassador Stevens was in town. Ambassador Stevens was not a low-ranking ambassador. He was somebody that actually earned his way up. He didn't donate money to a campaign and become the ambassador of Libya. So 45 days prior, I remember we're walking around the facility at the consulate, and I'm talking to Scott Wicklund, he's a State Department officer, talking to Dave Ubben, State Department officer, Al Henderson, and we're doing our little assessment of their area. And I'm like, gee, I'm looking at Scott, and I remember looking at him going, hey, do you guys have anything other than your rifles? He goes, no, this is all we got. And I said, well, you got anybody else assisting you, any other security elements? Well, we have 17th February Martyrs Brigade, which was a terrorist organization that the State Department didn't properly vet, had them protecting the facility. But it's State Department, what are you going to do? And I remember looking at Scott, and I said, you know, if you get attacked by a sizable force, you're all going to bleep and die. You know that. And I remember, you know, you don't say that to a guy that's not really, he's not part of the special operations community. He's basically a civilian, because I really, you could see his eyes, I really put some panic in him. And I said, you know what, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to come off that way, but the front lobe filter doesn't always work. And I said, you know what though, if you ever need us, we'll come get you. And we gave him a radio. So I want you guys to remember that they had a radio to contact us that night. Well, 9/11/2012, during the day, the ambassador's there. He comes in 2 days prior with his IT guy, Sean Smith. Right. We have been asked if we would assist going out and doing reconnaissance on areas that he's going to go see. So that's what we're doing. We're just helping out. And Tig and Ty are out doing reconnaissance on venues that he's going to go see the next day. And it gets to be 9 o'clock that night, 9 p.m., 9/11/2012. Now, throughout that time frame, we would always drive by the consulate since it was so close to our annex, and we would check on them. We check on the guys because they didn't get to go out that much. And we knew that they were really undermanned, and they didn't have a facility they could actually protect sufficiently. So Ty gets on the radio, and I hear him. He gets on the radio, he goes, Dave, Dave Ubben, State Department officer. He goes, Dave, we're going to come by and check on you. And I remember Dave gets on the radio, and he says, we're fine, Ty, you guys can take it on home. Now, they're driving within 400 meters of the consulate, all right, at 9 o'clock that night. There's no protests. There's no gathering of people. There's nothing going on. It's quiet. Nothing's happening. Dave says, go on home. I hear Ty on the radio. Ty goes, Tanto, he goes, break, Tanto, I'm coming home. I said, roger that, come on home. Now, throughout that day, myself and Dave Benton, DB, we were on QRF. Basically, we're on standby to assist anything that happens in the town with our own people. Now, those guys, now what our job is actually is to monitor radio traffic. It's to monitor, get atmospherics from the guys coming in. It's to mark places on the map that might be dangerous for our teams to stay out of. That's our job. It's to, honestly, it's to watch Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera gets better information quicker to us than our own CIA and NSA guys do. And we're watching TV, and we're gathering the, you know, guys are going out in town, they're coming back in, they're going out in town, and they're always reporting, hey, we're fine, nothing's happening, this area is clear, this area is clear. And I'm not seeing anything that would spurn a possible attack on the consulate by, let's say, a video or something that might rile up the people within the city. And that's what we do. That's our job. Our job is to get that information so we can alert our own guys that, hey, you may not want to go out today. It's pretty hot out there. But there, again, I'm telling you, there's nothing happening. No mention of a video, no protests, nothing. Well, Ty brings it on in. He parks it. It's 9:15 that night. Oz is going to go out on an operation with a case officer, a female case officer. They're going to go out, and that's one of our jobs is kind of blend in. They're going to go out looking. We do that. We'll act like as a husband for a case officer or something. And Oz comes up to me and goes, hey, is there anything off limits today? And I said, no, it's all good. You're good. Go ahead. Have at it. Have fun. Go to the disco. Go eat some baba ganoush, some fattoush, and some hummus, and have a good time tonight, guy. And he heads out the gate. And we're thinking then, well, it's going to be a quiet night. Because DB, myself, and Ty had actually extended an extra week to stay for the ambassador. In fact, we were supposed to go home the week prior. So we're really itching for this day to get over with. You know, Ty died there. So he really did sacrifice himself. I mean, the true definition of it. At 9:32, we get a call on the radio. And I know it was 9:32 because I looked at my watch. I didn't like to get bothered at night. I hated, because and especially you veterans and people that work with micromanagement leaders, whenever you get called at night, it's not a good thing. Something actually is going on, or you're going to get dressed down, or you did something wrong, or it's just not happy fun time when you get called at night by your leadership. And I remember DB looked at me, and DB and I had worked together for 10 years. He was a Marine recon guy, first recon, and he looked at me and goes, "Tanto, what'd you do?" And I am a goof. I like Rangers like to play Ranger games with no matter who it is, even though if you don't play it with Rangers, everybody else gets offended by it. But that doesn't stop us from playing it. So, you know, the case officer would come in, and all these CI case officers, they don't just recruit from the military. These are these kids they get from Ivy League schools. They come in, they go to the farm for 3 months, and when they get out, every one of them's Jason Bourne, or they can do backflips and shoot people, you know, and so you got to kind of break them in, because they're all coming in with chips on their shoulders, and being a Ranger, I like to mess with them, because what are they going to do? I mean, report me, fine. I've been doing this for 10 years. I haven't been fired yet, and I'm not going to get fired. And DB looks at me, and he says, "Hey, man," he goes, "What'd you do, man?" And I said, "Dave, I didn't do anything. I've been sitting with you all day. We've been watching Battleship, and we were watching, I even remember what other movie we were watching, Clash of the Titans, the second one. Awful movie, awful. Battleship wasn't bad, though. Actually, I was surprised Peter didn't get better recognition. But anyway, 30 seconds later, there's a more urgent call, and it says, "We need all GRS in the team room now." And I remember Dave looked at me, and he's the polar opposite of me. He's very quiet, doesn't have a lot of facial expressions. He just does his job, and if he says something, you know, something's irking him. It really means it. Where I just talk all the time. And I remember he gave me a little wry smile, and I gave him a big smile, because we just got that call again that all GRS need to report to the team room. This time it was very, very urgent. And I remember looking at him and going, "Man, we could do something fun tonight." Because it is, it's fun. War's actually fun, to be honest with you. If you enjoy that sort of thing. It is. And I'm with my brother. The thing is, I'm with my brothers too. We had a great team. Like DB and I, 10 years we worked together. The other guys, I just started really getting to know them at that base. Now I worked a little bit with Tig when he was in Kabul, but the team just meshed together. And it didn't matter what service you were from. You know, we had 2 SEALs, we had 3 Marines, we had 1 Ranger, which was the glue of the operation, of course. But we all worked very well together. And so it was like, "Roger that, let's go. All right, it's time. Let's go get it on together." And it's that brotherhood that you get. It's unbelievable. And we all, you know, all of us are Christians. Some stronger than the others. But that faith, I think, brings you together too. And when we start walking out the door, and I can still vividly see it, the consulate's only 3/4 of a mile away as a crow flies. And as I walk out that door, you can see the firefight going on, and you can see the tracers, the bullets shooting up in the air to start, and you can hear the AKs and the AK-47s. PKM's like an M60. It's an Eastern Bloc crew served weapon, and it's going, and you can hear the RPGs exploding, and you can just see it all going. And like I said, I think it's awesome. It's incredible. It's just, you seeing these, it's stuff that, and I tell this to every group, you need to put that on your bucket list, to see a firefight like that once in your life. You got to. It's unbelievable. You got to. All right, that's all right. If you want to take the easy way out, that's fine with me. Well, then you just got to get closer so you can see it. And you got to get closer. But I'm telling you, we eat it up. And if we weren't with the guys, that I wasn't with a great team, I don't, it may have been different, but I loved that. I was just eating it up, and the team didn't even have to talk to each other. Everybody knew what they needed to do. We're working on instincts. A lot of you guys have been served. You've been on teams like that, where not a word need to be said, and everybody's doing their job and moving and going. And they are. Tig's getting the cars. Jack's going and getting the weapons. DB's going in and getting the sniper rifles. I'm going to my team leader. Our staff team, we have a guy that's in charge of us, an employee. He's a team leader, staff leader. He's a staff GRS guy. And I just want you to guess how much he's not holding the same standards as us. So guess how much military experience he had. And he's in charge of us now. Zero. There you go. Zero military experience. That's government for you. But I remember going up to him as we're walking and we're seeing the firefight. Guys are moving. It's great. We're doing what we need to do. And out of respect, because of his position, I say, hey, what's happening? He goes, constant center attack, roger that. And I run in and I get my machine gun and I get my rifle. We don't know what we're going to get hit with, so I'm just grabbing every piece of weapon that we have. I'm filling my shorts with magazines now. And I got used to fighting in shorts. I used to ride ships off the coast of Somalia in between my leave time from GRS to fighting pirates. And I figured, if you're going to get in a fight, be comfortable, man. You sweat. When you're in combat, you sweat. So I wear shorts. Nobody's going to tell me I can't. And honestly, be honest with you, you ever think this little piece of cloth's going to save your life? There it is. So I'm with shorts, and they got it right in the movie. I made Pablo wear shorts in the movie and made him work on his calves because he had skinny legs. And he looked good. And I remember I run back out to the vehicle, and when we're ready in 5 minutes, 9:37, we're ready to go. And I go up to my team leader. He's standing right there. Chief of base, Bob, standing right there. He's in charge of our base. He's a senior level CIA guy. And I said, hey, we're ready to go. And I can see Ty in the background give me a thumbs up because his car's ready to go. He's got Jack and Tig in his car. I'm driving this SUV with DB in the back. And Bob looks at the team leader looks at me. Bob says, hey, you tell these guys they need to wait. Now again, Bob's right there. He can look at me and tell me that, but he doesn't give me the respect to do. He just doesn't. That's Bob. Team leader looks at me and goes, hey, Bob's telling you. And I go, I got it, dude. I'm standing right here. Thanks. Roger that. I turn around and walk away. Now, inside you want to go. But your military bearing, your intestinal fortitude, you don't want to create panic because you got all these Jason Bournes panicking already. And if you guys start to panic, if we panic, then that just leads to that fire. And I've been through that sort of thing before. And this wasn't my first rodeo. So we're maintaining our military bearing, but inside you're just going, oh, God, we got to get over there. We got to get over there. We got to get over there. And then you're also going through your mind thinking, what do we need? What am I missing? What am I missing? You're war gaming it. It's how we're trained. It's how all special ops guys are trained. Guys have been in infantry. They're trained like that, especially the ones that have been for a while. And I also remember turning around and going to him. I said, well, we could use an ISR, which is a drone. I asked us the chief. We could use an ISR and we could use a Spectre gunship. That was the first time I asked for air support, 5 minutes in. And they said, Roger, we'll work on it. Well, remember we gave the State Department guys a radio. And about that time, we start hearing them call us on the radio. Guys, we're being overrun. We're taking heavy fire. We need you here. And I want you just to imagine that your friend is dying and you can't help them. And you're being told you can't help them. There's a difference between not being able to help them because you just don't have the ability to. And then there's a difference between you have to sit there and wait. And and you can see the firefights now, and you can hear it on the radio, you can hear it, and it's hard to sit back and wait. But you have to maintain that bearing, but you also have to have faith that this is where I need to be. And you also have to start having more faith. Am I going to start listening to man's law, or am I going to start listening to God's law? When do I need to pull aside from listening to what this man's telling me, and when do I start listening to God and do the right thing and get my butt over there? That's why the John 15:13, and it is just a coincidence. I've had it on my wall since I started working. It's just a coincidence. It's a good coincidence. No coincidence. Yeah, I was waiting for the pastor to say that. But 15 more minutes go by, and we still haven't left. And then we're still getting a call on the radio from Scott and Alec, and they're getting their butts handed to them. They're getting attacked. They're dying. And Tig gets out of the car. He gets out of the sedan in front, and he goes up to Bob, and he says, we need to go now. We're losing the initiative. And Bob looks at him and says, you guys need to stand down. And we got it in the movie. That was fantastic. I'm glad it's in there. No more questions. I don't get calls from the Washington Post anymore saying, hey, were you guys really told to stand down? That has all stopped since that second trailer came out. even though they just had to read the book, which I sent to him, which obviously they didn't read. But we were told to stand down. And I'm going to tell you, this is all I know. We were told to stand down by our chain of command, by the CIA chain of command. State Department and DOD and all that, there's other things that happen, and maybe we can talk about it after, but I don't want to get into that too much. There was multiple stand downs to multiple units, but ours specifically was through the CIA, and that's all I can talk with insurance and say that that's what happened. Well, I remember Tig getting on the radio, and I said, hey dude, what's going on? He said, Bob's telling us to stand down. I remember Dave looking at me, DB in my vehicle, he goes, he's doing it again. And I said, roger that, we're going to have to buck orders. He had already held us back earlier in the months prior when we were going to go try to help our own guys that were stuck at checkpoints. So this became an MO with him. And the reason being is because we weren't really supposed to be there. So he didn't want to show his hand, hey, the agency's here. He'd rather have people die than give up the base, which again, that's man's law, God's law. Well, who's he following? Well, it's obvious. 10 more minutes go by, now it's 25 minutes. And we think now, well, we're just going to be cleaning up bodies. They're dead, they got to be. But we still got to get over there. You never leave a fallen comrade. Got to get over there. And there's a little squelch on the radio. And it's Alec, and it comes across, he goes, if you guys don't get here, you're all going to bleep and die. I mean, we're all going to bleep and die. And I remember looking at DB, him looking at me, and we looked at the guys in the front vehicle. We all knew what we needed to do, and it's like, we got to go. And I get out of the vehicle, I go up to our team leader who's talking on the phone. I don't know who he's talking to, I have no idea. And I said, get in the effing car, we need to go. And as I turn around, I'm thinking, I'm still wargaming in my head. You're still doing what the training has taught you. I'm still thinking, okay, what do we need? I got everything. Do I have? No, I need an interpreter. We need our interpreter because I don't speak Arabic well enough. And most likely we're going to be linking up with some friendly force or pseudo-friendly force militia to help us. Some militia that hates Ansar al-Sharia more than we did. Granted, though, they were calling 17 February to hook up with us, which is not a friendly militia, but the agency and the government just couldn't get that wrapped around their head. They didn't want to believe us. So I remember turning around, going to my vehicle, and like a blessing, Henry, our little interpreter, he's a linguist. He's not a combat interpreter. He's a linguist. He's walking. I mean, right when I think that, it's a blessing. I really believe that. I have to go look for him. He's right there, and I go up to Henry, and Henry's about 5'5". He's balding. He's got that little hair right here, and he's a little frumpier. And I used to tell him he looked like, he's from Egypt. He looked like an Egyptian Bob Newhart. He looked exactly like Bob Newhart. And he used to get mad at me because I would make fun of him, like, did you look like Bob Newhart? You know that? Oh, Tanto, shut up. I do not. Like, yeah, you do, dude. It's a compliment. You're adorable. And he was, but this is what was motivating to me. This guy was not weapons qualified. He was not required to go outside the wire. He's a linguist. He's not a combat terp. I had a combat terp in Baghdad. I had a couple combat terps in Baghdad and Kabul. The one in Baghdad that was really hard from Egypt, he used to carry a cattle prod, so if we needed to move people, he'd stick people with him. So we didn't have to shoot him. I think that's pretty humane. Get out of my way. You know, you're blocking the intersection. We got to get you out. I don't want to shoot you. And he's like, Tanto, can I stick him? I'm like, yeah, go stick him. Get him. And then he started to enjoy it too much, and we had to. It was actually pretty funny, I thought. But Henry's not like this, and Henry does not have this training. He's not ready for something like this. And I remember going up to him. I said, dude, we need you. I've been through this before in Kandahar. I've been through this before in Coast. I said, I need your language skills. I don't speak the language well enough, and I don't want any blue on green incidents, which means a friendly shooting a friendly force shooting a friendly foreign force. And he goes, Tanto, I'm not weapons qualified. And I remember looking at him going, well, I gave my pistol, I gave my magazines. I said, you are now, go get your stuff. And he did it. Didn't argue, didn't say a word. He turned around and he went and got his stuff. And that was amazing to me. Henry is my hero because he was literally, I know he was crapping it. Excuse me, I can say crap, right? I just did. He was crapping himself, and he still went and did what he needed to do. You got all these Jason Bournes running around crazy, and this guy, deep breath, goes, gets his stuff, comes back out. He's wearing his Kevlar. It's too big because he's, he doesn't go out the wire, so he doesn't even have anything that really fits him. His armor doesn't fit him, and he's running out. He's just bouncing around, and it's kind of funny looking because he looks like a turtle coming out because the helmet's just. And I start laughing at him. He goes, what's up? I go, dude, you look like a turtle. You know that. And he's like, shut up, Tommy. I'm just trying to lighten the mood. a little bit. And this is the one, now there were some mistakes made that night, there always is, but this is the one that I'm glad I didn't live to regret it, or did not live to regret it. I took the pistol from him, I made sure there was a round in the chamber, racked it, gave it back to him, and I said, go ahead and get behind me in the back seat. And I'm thinking to myself, you just gave a loaded weapon to a guy that's not weapons qualified, that is really crapping his pants, and you're going to put him behind you in a vehicle driving into a combat zone. And I'm just shaking my head. And I remember looking at him and going, dude, just please don't shoot me in the back. And I closed the door. DB is still, now DB, I told you, DB doesn't say much, but now he's getting upset. And I remember he cracked the door open. Our team leader is still talking on the phone outside his vehicle, outside my vehicle. He used to get in the back seat, and DB goes, get in the effing car, we need to go. And the door shuts, and Ty, a cool thing in the world, as soon as our door shuts, Ty cracks his door open. Ty Woods died that night. He reaches his hand out and he goes like this to me. And it's one of the coolest things in the world, because it's like something you really see in movies. And I remember I gave him a thumbs up and we head out the gate. So we bucked orders. So it did take us 25 minutes, but there came a time when we started to have to listen to what God needed us to do and stop listening to what man wanted us to do. And that was what we did. And I'm grateful for that. I just wish we would have listened a little bit earlier. But that's how it is. You know, bullets downrange, I can't take that one back now. Now, I'm going to skip ahead because we have an hour, and I got to try to get 13 hours into an hour. But we ended up driving down there. Now, what the media doesn't tell you, the media has finally said, yeah, these guys were delayed for 25 minutes. Yeah, they probably were. What they didn't tell you is that we had to stop and actually fight our way on foot, and that took us another 25 minutes. So we didn't get on the consulate for an hour. So it took us that long because what happened is when we got to an area about 400 meters away from the consulate, the one avenue of approach that we could get down, we had lost the initiative. Ansar al-Sharia and Al-Qaeda in the Maghreb, the two groups that attacked the compound, they had actually set up a machine gun nest and they were blocking our road. We couldn't drive down. And I remember we were pulling up to where that corner is where we're going to turn, and there's 17 Feb or some militia, I don't know who it is, I'm assuming it's 17 Feb Martyrs Brigade, and they're running around everywhere. There's one guy in a ski mask that's actually shooting down back at the machine gun nest. One guy with the machine gun, and he's got a ski mask on. And I remember looking at DB going, man, have we waited 25 minutes for this? Are you kidding me? And as soon as we cracked the door to get out, you start hearing like a whip crack. It's like snap, snap. And a lot of you veterans probably know what this is. Snap, snap, snap. And then it's quicker. Snap, snap, snap. And what that is when a bullet is close, it doesn't whoosh. A high velocity round, it breaks a sound barrier if it's close by your head. So that's what it is. You're hearing that snap, 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 snap. And it's freaking awesome. Again, put that on your bucket list. You gotta get shot at once. Just get somebody that's a pretty good shot and just stand there like this and have them shoot by you, and you'll hear that snap. Thank you. Okay, I don't think you're gonna be able to get that in a movie, not even in a 3D movie. I don't think that's gonna come in. But it's awesome. It is, especially because you're amped up. You're like, all right. We're going from safe to semi, and it's on now. And I take thinking the same thing, and I see him get out of his sedan. He has a 40-millimeter grenade launcher, and he gets down, and I just start hearing the thump, and then you count to 2 or 3, and then a huge explosion, and he reloads, breech load, put it in, and shoots another one, and it's awesome when you're hearing that sound go out. If it's coming in, it's not so awesome, but if it's going out, it's incredible. Just bam. And again, we haven't heard anything from the State Department guys while we're driving down there, so we're still thinking they're probably dead. The consulate is now on fire. You can see it glowing in the background, and there's a crackle on the radio, and I want to say it was from Scott Wicklund. Now, Scott's a hero as well. He's brave. Scott's a very brave guy. They just got caught. State Department got caught without any help from their superiors. They were set up for failure, but they did what they could. And I remember Scott come across the radio. He's with the ambassador, and he says, hey guys, they're lighting the buildings on fire. You need to get here. Now, the buildings were already on fire. What he was seeing, since he was in that safe room with the ambassador, this is, I believe, just from the radio call, that was when he started to douse, Ansar al-Sharia started to douse the interior with diesel fuel and started to light it on fire. So basically, he's in a safe room. He can't get out the windows because he's getting heavy fire at the windows, and he's watching himself get cooked. He's got nowhere to go. They've got nowhere to go, and the interior's starting to burn. I remember looking at DB going, man, we got to go on foot, and that's what we did. Now, there's a couple chapters dedicated to us going on foot. I don't have the time, or we'll be here for 3-4 hours. But we ended up moving on foot. Tig and Ty and Jack moved straight down a road. Myself and DB started jumping walls through backyards. And it was hard. Those walls aren't short. I mean, we'll figure it out here. They're
51.
That's where we are. There's going to be, if this place blows up, I'm sorry, it's a hellfire coming down. People are like, really? Is he serious? I might be. I don't know, but we'll have fun until then anyway. But we start jumping. It's hard because I'm not a spring chicken ranger anymore, and DB isn't either. And I remember going up that first wall, and I've got my machine gun, I got my rifle, I got a 200-round drum, my pockets are full of magazines. You know, our rifles are tricked out with all the lasers and all the optics. And I remember running and jumping that first wall, and it was hard. And I'm like, holy crap, this isn't going to be as easy as I thought. I was in shorts. That's what made it easy. If I was in pants, I probably wouldn't have made it. Because I had shorts on though, and I look good doing it because I'm in shorts. No, you can always, there's always that glow. You can always see that glow. It's that Tanto glow. But we jump up that first wall, and I'm like, oh wow, this is, and then I start thinking, well, I've done this before. I went through Ranger School back when it was hard. I Ranger Battalion when it million push-ups, 30-mile ruck marches, 100-pound rucks. Been through SF training. Was at ODA for a while. I know a Special Forces team. And I'm like, I can do this. And also, I do think faith came into it because the pain went away. And I was fine. I started jumping walls, and in the next 4 walls, even the one that collapsed on me, I was fine. It hurt, but was able to get back up and keep moving. And we moved, and you're moving, and you're just moving expeditiously because you're going through backyards, and there's a lot of dead space, a lot of areas where people can hide, and you're just moving slowly. You're covering, okay, clear, and then you move to the next one, and you're moving as fast as you can. But 400 meters, it takes us 25 minutes because it's hard when you're moving, and when your sphincter's this tight, it's really hard to move fast. But it is because you're playing the ultimate game of hide and go seek, and a lot of you guys, veterans, have been through that before. Where you're all right, come around that corner, I'm gonna kill for it. And if you get caught, you're the one that gets the drop on you, then you're not going back to home base, you're going home. So it's pretty intense. And again, it's pretty awesome. I'll be honest, it's awesome. Well, we link up in the middle of the consulate, and again, I skipped a little bit. You'll read about it in the book or you can see the movie. And when we get on the consulate, it's completely ablaze. It's on fire. Everything's on fire except for 2 buildings are on the backside of the consulate. It's 8 acres, there's 4 buildings. And you get there, and I've told this to everybody, especially people that want to be politicians or are politicians. Don't ever go on TV or go into a situation with people that if you've not seen combat and say there's such thing as a fog of war. There's no such thing as a fog of war. When you're in combat, everything is vivid. That 6th sense kicks in, and everything is, the colors are brighter. You're just picking up senses from everything. It's incredible. I mean, and that's what it was when I got on the consulate. It was unbelievable. It was beautiful. And I've had people say, why do you think it's beautiful? Don't tell it. Well, it is beautiful. That orange is the most orange you'll ever see. That green is the most green that you'll ever see. That's why it's hard for veterans sometimes to come back and readjust to life over here. Because even though it's gorgeous outside right now, it comes across as a little dull. Because you're not getting hand grenades thrown at you or getting shot at. And that's why I picked up everything on that consulate. It was unbelievable. And we link up in the middle, and guys start doing their job. Ty and Jack start going in the villa that's on fire. They're going to start to see if there's any survivors. Me and DB and Tig, we start going to the other buildings and start clearing the buildings, trying to find all the survivors. And we end up doing that. And there's some funny things that happen. I'll let you read about in the book. But bottom line is we cleared all the buildings, got all the survivors out, and we start running back to the Mambo's villa. And again, that thing's on fire, and it's hot. And every time you try to go in there, it's like going into a pizza oven. And it got to a point with the diesel smoke and all the black smoke, you can't use your flashlights in it because it reverts back. You're not going to be able to see. So it came to a point where it's basically you have to take a deep breath, run in, or crawl in as the smoke got better, and then run back out and tag hands, and the next guy goes in. Because you had to have a lifeline set out because you had to get called back to the sound of somebody's voice to get back out of there because you couldn't see. And while we're doing this, Jack comes up to me and he's like, hey, we got to get all the classified information out of the talk. Now, it wasn't our job to get the classified information, but we had to get it just in case so Ansel Sheree couldn't get it. Me and Jack ran back to the Tackle Operations Center, and we just start cutting wires, and we start grabbing hard drives, grabbing laptops, grabbing computers, and we're loaded up with all this IT stuff. And we start running back, and this is the thing. There's comedy in combat. There really is. There's a lot of jokes that have been made. And he looks at me as we're running back, and he goes, "Man, doesn't that look like we just robbed the Best Buy?" And I looked, and it was funny. I looked at him like, did I just hear what? And I just started laughing, and I almost dropped all my stuff. And so SEALs are funny too when they want to be. He was funny. Well, we got back, and my team leader who came with us, that drove, after we cleared the compound, after we got it all secure for the time being, he drove the SUV up. Didn't help us clear it or fight our way on it. He's the one that got the Star for Bravery though that night. That's equivalent to the Medal of Honor for the agency. Well, he drives up the SUV, and we throw all that classified information. We throw it in the back of the State Department SUV that's ready to go because we got to get those guys out of there. And I remember Dave comes up to me and goes, "We lost one." And I'm like, "Whoa, what do you mean we lost one?" Because you're not thinking you're going to lose anybody. It happens, but you don't think that way. And we lost the IT guy. I'm like, "IT guy?" I said, "Shoot, sorry." I go, and that's Sean Smith. His mom Pat lives down the road here, a few hours away, and he just got there a couple of days earlier. And I remember, dang it, man, we lost one. And Dave's fired up because he knows that if we would have left on time when we wanted to, this guy wouldn't be dead. And we kind of have to calm each other down a little bit. He's getting all angry. He's like, "Son of a, should have got here." I'm like, "Dude, get your head in it. We've got a long night to go. It's only 11:30. And I go up the front of the building, and I see Jack and Dave Ubin pulling this guy out of Sean Smith out of a window. And the movies don't get it right. When somebody's dead, they're dead. They are. I'm not going to make any qualms about it. I'm not going to church it up. Literally, I'm not. They're dead. But he sees Jack, and Jack's an angel. Jack is thinking of his brothers and thinking of others before himself. And he sees Scott and Dave kind of start going into shock. And rightfully so. They've been through a lot so far. So what he does is, even though Sean's dead, he flips Sean over and he tries to resuscitate him. He does CPR on him because I know what he's thinking. He wants to get these guys' head back into the fight. It's like, "Hey, don't quit. We're still going to try. We're still trying. We'll try to get him back alive. Just stay with me, guys." And it works. Now, of course, we can't resuscitate Sean. Sean's gone. But at least it gets the guys' heads back into it. Dave and Scott are good. And I remember we pick up Sean's body and we put him in the back of our SUV and we say a prayer over him. I say a prayer. Close the door. And right when I do that, there's a huge explosion that kind of knocks me down on the backside of the villa. And I'm thinking, "Man, what was that?" And I see a militia guy. And about this time, locals and militia people started to mill back on the compound. So now we don't have control of that compound anymore. There's people everywhere. Now nobody's shooting at us, so we don't know who's bad or who's good. You can't tell over there. It's impossible because they don't wear uniforms. They're wearing jeans, they're wearing their man jammies, or they're wearing their BDU pants with a t-shirt. You just don't know. I wear shorts. I'm the only one that wears shorts. You can tell me. I'm the only one that wears shorts. Yeah. I don't need to go into that. But the guy comes running by me and he's missing his hand and it's gone. And my instinct is to look to the right here or to the left. And it's the nearest guy I say, and it's just instinctive. I go, "What happened?" And it's this local here, and I don't know if he speaks English or not, but it's just a reaction. "What happened?" And he goes, "Grenade." So I'm thinking this guy tried to cook a grenade off. He held it too long in his hand, he threw it, and then it blew up and his hand blew up. So, he counted to 4 instead of 3 before he let it go. And I'm like, "Well, serves you right, you son of a gun. Don't throw grenades at us. Get out of here. Again, go rub some dirt on it. You'll be all right." And I'm like, "You're an idiot. Don't hold a grenade that long." And then there's a second explosion though, and this one I know it's an RPG. It's a rocket propelled grenade. And I turn around the corner to look from the villa, and somebody had opened up the back gate to allow a counterattack on the backside of the compound. And right when that RPG hit, it's like a water faucet turned on, and you start hearing the snaps again. Snap, snap, snap. And I remember all I could think of was return fire. I mean, being a Ranger battalion, you go through, you learn about, I wasn't in Panama in '89, I was still in high school. You learn about them Rangers jumping into Panama and jumping into Rio Hato and having to fight off the objective. It was a flat runway. There's no cover, and how they got off is they fought it off. They shot their way off. And that's what you get taught when you're going through training anyway, even just infantry training, is if you're in a near ambush, you don't try to take cover, you just throw everything back at them and try to fight off the objective. And that's all I did. I just turned around and I just started shooting. And I'm behind the SUV of the State Department guys that want to get out of there. So I'm shooting, and all of a sudden I hear a little honk on the horn, and I don't realize it, but they want to get out of there. And I'm blocking their way because I'm using their vehicle as cover. And I just kind of step back and I said, come on. And they drive, they make a right, and then they make another right. And in my head I'm going, those knuckleheads. Ty told them that when you go out the gate, make sure you go left. And the media doesn't tell, well, Adam Housley did one report on this from Fox. Nobody else has ever touched it again. There was a safe house, an Ansar Sharia safe house 200 meters from the consulate. The consulate was not only contracted, the State Department didn't only contract a martyrs brigade, a militia that was unfriendly to us, that actually swore their allegiance to Ansar Sharia once we left, 17 February, to protect the consulate. They also built it right next to a terrorist safe house. So when they go out the gate and they make a right, we can't do anything because we're under attack ourselves. And they do get ambushed badly. They get hammered. In fact, that trailer is great where you're seeing that SUV jump and then you're seeing an RPG and the guy goes, shoot that son. That's them getting ambushed. And luckily the RPGs missed. They did get back to our compound, but I'll let you read about that ambush. It's in the book a little bit. They did get lucky, and I remember asking Scott, how'd you guys get through that? Because I remember getting back to the annex and seeing their vehicle, and it was just toasted. It was unbelievably, I don't know how that armor held. And that's what he said. He goes, man, the RPGs missed, and we just kept driving as fast as we could. Well, when they drive off, and now I have no cover, all I'm thinking is, okay, right now, all right, I'm going to start shooting. I just took a knee and I just started shooting. Now, I know God's out there. I know He is. I've been through this situations, crisis situations before, situations where I thought I was in danger and I knew I wasn't going to get hit. And the feeling that I get, and I don't know, maybe you all have had the same feeling, is it's like a big golden cocoon around you. And you're like, nothing's going to touch me. I'm fine. He's got me. I'm not going to die. I'm going to keep fighting back. And that's how it's just warm. It's an awesome feeling. You're just down there and you're just taking bad guys out. And you're like, I got protection. Nobody's going to get me. And while I'm doing this, my right eardrum just kind of blows, spam, it blows out. I can't hear out of this ear very well. And I look, and as I'm shooting, there's this Libyan. I don't know where he came from. He's got a button-down shirt. He's got slacks on. He's got loafers on. And they don't have like pimp your ride stuff over in Libya, so they pimp out their AKs. And it was nickel-plated AK. It was beautiful. And he's shooting. And he just kind of looks at me and he smiles and he kind of nods and he keeps shooting. And I'm like, this is awesome. Where'd this guy come from? It's like God sent me a little Libyan angel right down next to me. Now, my fearless team leader, who, again, let me reiterate, got the star for bravery that night, he comes to me and, he comes across the radio and he goes, Tanto, take cover. I'm like, you son of a bitch, get out here and help me. And as I'm thinking that, I didn't put on the radio because I didn't want to take my hand off my weapon because I'm still just trying to make sure people don't get through that open gate. I see DB screaming around the corner of the villa, and Dave and I had worked together, like I said, for 10 years. He'd saved me in Iraq and Afghanistan 2 different times. Awesome guy, we're best friends, tough as nails. And he knows what I need. This is the beauty of working with guys that know each other and have the instinct. He already has a magazine in his right hand. And he knows I'm running out of ammo and I don't have time to search in my pockets for another one. So he slides a magazine across the road. I pick it up, put it in, and he starts leaning down on the one side of the road. I'm on the other side with my Libyan angel guy, and we just start shooting. And now we're finally taking over the initiative. We're starting to get the initiative back. We're starting to really block that area off. Nobody's coming through. And then I see, out of the corner of my eye, I see a guy up on the burning villa. He's up on the villa, that's the Ambos villa, that's completely on fire. And I see a guy up on top, and he's shooting. And it was Tig. Tig actually climbed up on the villa that's on fire and started shooting so we could get rounds high up and down. Basically, usually when you're up high, you're getting fire superiority. And that was awesome. That's courageous. That is extremely, to me, that was, wow, man, that's unbelievable. And we did take the initiative back, and we did hit an RPG gunner as he come around the corner too many times. He kept sticking his head around and blowing an RPG, and we finally take him out. He falls back, RPG spins up in the background, 2 falls down. And it's weird because sometimes that will initiate a bigger attack, sometimes that won't, and sometimes the attack will just stop. If you hit the right guy, sometimes the attack just stops, and that's what happened. As soon as he went down, that water faucet turned off and the snap stopped, and we had to figure out what we were going to do next. Now, everybody had got out of there. We got Sean Smith's body. We still have not found the ambassador. We are getting reports from the drone that we had that there were 40 people massed and we needed to get back to our annex because it was going to get attacked. And it was hard because at the time we didn't know if the ambassador was there or not. He could have been, but we thought, well, we've been in there twice. I mean, we've been going in there multiple times, even on our hands and knees. We almost lost Ty in the smoke, where we actually had to play Marco Polo with him and try to get him out of there because he got lost and disoriented back in the back rooms. So we're thinking, well, he's got to be kidnapped. He's not there. Now, like I said, there's a credo that we have, any service, is you never leave a fallen comrade to fall in the hands of the enemy. We didn't know he was there. We left, and we got back to our annex, and he was there. We left him. We couldn't find him. And that's hard to deal with still, because you don't leave somebody. Now, granted, do we know he was there? No. But he was, and they pulled him out about an hour after the fighting moved to our compound. One of our local neighbor guys that was friendly to us, there's a picture of him in the book with the phone in his mouth. They pull him out. And it's hard, because it's hard because we lost a piece. Veterans get this, or guys have been overseas. When you're on a base, that's American sovereign soil. That's ours. That's freedom. That's everything that you believe in as being a patriot. That's what it is. And when you have to leave it, and when we lost it, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to try to play it. We lost it. We couldn't hold it. It's hard. We lost a bit of freedom and patriotism in Libya. And that's hard because I was on that receiving end. That's why I always tell people, work your butts off to maintain the Constitution, maintain Christianity in this country, because we don't want to come back to see it, and it's hard. And I don't want any of y'all to feel that. That feeling is awful. When you couldn't hold a piece of sovereign soil. We get back to the annex, and we get back unscathed. And I have found a BlackBerry in a little phone in that burning building. I'm thinking maybe it's the ambassador's. Again, we still don't know if he was there or not. And I remember going into our building C. Everybody else is going up on the roofs because they know we're going to get attacked. And I remember going in and seeing our chief of base, who also got the Star for Bravery that night. He's on the floor, sitting on his butt. His head's in his hands, and his knees are on his elbows are on his knees, and he's looking like we lost. He's totally defeated. And I wanted to kick him in his head. And I remember grabbing my BlackBerry and I threw it out to him. I said, "This might be the ambassador's. You might want to check to see what the last phone call was." And I haven't talked to him since. I don't have anything for him. And then I had to go get new nods because my MVGs, my night vision had broken, so I got a new set of nods, had to get more ammunition, and I ran back up to the top of the roof with me and DB up on one roof, and we were all in our different fighting positions. And the trailer does it great when they show the people moving on us, and that's me up on the roof. A guy named Pablo Schreiber, very good actor, became a good friend of mine. He did it perfectly. He says, "Hey, Chief, are we expecting any friendlies?" And that's what I was saying. It's like, "Chief, we're expecting any friendlies?" Because we're seeing people move on us, and we don't know if they're friendly or not. We can't see guns yet. We're looking for them. They also are utilizing a house that has family members in it, and kids used to they would always shoot bottle rockets into our compound. So I'm not going to shoot a kid. I'm not shooting somebody that doesn't deserve to be shot. So we're trying to gather information. Hey, we're expecting friendlies. These guys are moving on us. I remember Dave going, "Hey, they're moving tactically." I said, "Well, do you see a gun?" He goes, "No, I don't see anything." I said, "Well, we can't shoot till we see an AK or something." And I'm just going on the radio, "Hey, they're getting closer. Are we expecting any friendlies? We're expecting any friendlies." And then my team leader comes across the radio. He's not up on the roof shooting with us, of course. And let me reiterate, he got the Star for Bravery again. I think I've said that 3 times. He's not up there with us. And I was like, "Hey, are we expecting friendlies to come to our position?" He goes, "We're not expecting any friendlies." We said, "We're checking on it. He goes, "If you see a gun, shoot." And I remember looking at Dave going, "Did he just tell me if I saw a gun shoot?" And it's like, "That idiot, are you serious?" "All right, roger that." Like, "Roger that." And that's when Dave's awesome. DB, he goes, "I got an AK." And right when he saw an AK, you see a guy running up and throwing something across the fence and through in our compound. And there's a fizz. It's like almost like a Wile E. Coyote cartoon when they throw the dynamite. You can see the fizz. It was what we call a gelatina bomb. And they use that gelatina bomb. It doesn't have shrapnel in it, but it's used just to create a big explosion of flashbang to blind people, and then they attack. And they use it actually, that's not what its main use was. Its main use was for fishing. The fishermen would drop it in the ocean, it'd blow up, and the fish would come to the surface. It's Libyan redneck fishing in the Mediterranean. That's what they used it for. And So when he throws it over and I see that fizz, it's like, it is just really like slow motion. Like I said, there's no fog of war. It's like slow motion. Shh, blank, it blows up. And that's just our indication of it's time to shoot. And I've already been lasing targets for people. And I'm talking Oz, do you see him? Do you see him? We're already on them all. And I'll let you read about the firefight. It's a really small one. This one was initially about 10 guys that came out. It took us about 5 minutes and we just zipped them up, zipping them up and pushed them off. And they drove off in a hurry with their wounded and dead. And we're good. We're feeling good. It's about 1 o'clock now. Now, between 1 and 3 o'clock before we get attacked again, now we started getting probed. There's still people driving up to our gates, driving away. There's still people walking around with cell phones, probably taking pictures, probably marking areas with GPSs, who knows. But we can't shoot them, though. They're not doing anything threatening. You just don't go in that bloodlust. We don't do that. That's not how we are. That's not how I was raised in the military. It's not how I was raised in the family. It's not what I'm raised in the church. If I'm being threatened, I'm going to kill you. If you're going to threaten my friends, then you're going down. But if you're not doing anything that's threatening, I'm not just going to indiscriminately shoot you. No, that's not how it should be done. Well, we all have a moment of reflection during those 2 hours, and I'm going to tell you mine. You can read about the other guys. Everybody had a different moment of reflection. My moment of reflection is, and Pablo did a great job up on that roof when he's in that trailer, when he goes, hey, as long as I'm right with God, I know he'll take care of me. That's my one moment of reflection. It takes me about 10 seconds. My other one is and don't hold it against me, I actually am divorced now. So I just going to say, I was married at the time, and I said, did I tell my wife I loved her? Yeah. Did I tell my kids I loved them? Yeah. All right, get them out of your head. Done. Time to go back to work. And what I tell guys that are going overseas or anybody that has crisis situations is, don't get up on that roof or don't get in that situation and be like, oh crap, I'm going to die up here. Oh, I'm never going to see my family again. Oh, this is terrible. I'm smelling of goat and it's an awful place in this I'm at. Because if you think that way, you will die and you won't see your family again. You just put your faith. You're like, hey, I'm here. I'm doing right with God. This is where I need to be. If I go down, I go down. But I'm going to keep fighting and I'm going to take every last guy with me and I'm going to protect everybody I can. And this is how it is. This is where I'm supposed to be at. And you accept that that's where you're supposed to be at, then everything actually is a lot easier to deal with. You're not given a defeatist attitude. It's, all right, I'm here. I'm going to do everything I can to win and I'm going to put faith in him and let the chips fall where they may. I'm still going to fight my tail off. I'm not going to quit, but it's easier. And I tell guys that, and it really does. You already accept the fact that, hey, you're there to fight, you're there for a reason, and let's just leave it at that. And I did everything I could to my family. They know I love them. The last thing I said to them was good and positive, so we're good. Now again, the other guys had different reflective moments, so read about it in the book and you'll get their gist of it. Well, at 3 o'clock we start to get moved on again by a sizable force. This is about 40 guys. And I remember going on the radio, and this is me being a jokester. I'm like, hey, are we expecting any friendlies? And I'm kind of snicker, and of course I didn't get anything from our head shed. They didn't think it was that was funny. But they're moving on us, and I'm talking to Oz, and I'm talking to the guys in the other fibers. It goes, you guys see my laser? I'm pointing out targets, and they're like, got it. It's beautiful. Doesn't even really need to say anything. Roger, that's it. And as they're moving towards us, again, I'm not going to get into it in depth because it's just going to take too long. But as they're moving on us, there's a guy that's coming to my side, and he has his arm up, and he's about ready to throw something. Now, my immediate reaction is to turn and shoot. But if I turn, then the guys that are in front of Oz positions are going to be able to get him. So I'm holding on him. Holding on Oz's targets in there. It's this microphone right here. I'm holding on him, and I'm thinking, Oz, get him, because that's Oz's sector. And it's hard to just sit back and watch a guy come up with his arm up, and he's about ready to throw something, and you want to turn, but if you turn, your buddy's going to get shot. I'm okay, all right, I'm going to sacrifice myself, but I'm also going to trust that Oz has that sector, and he does. I hear it crack, and I see the little zip through, because night vision, you can actually see the heat of rounds and things when they splash, and you can see the lasers, and that's your third thing to put on your bucket list, is if you do get in a firefight, make sure you get in a firefight with NVGs on, because it's beautiful. It's awesome. It is, it's awesome. It's incredible. But he zips him up, the guy falls back, and I'm like, gosh, good job, Oz. And there's an explosion. The guy either had a gelatine bomb or a grenade, I don't know which one. He blows up, falls back, explodes, and it's just on again. Now, what I want to get out of this firefight is people will ask me what it's like to shoot somebody, and everybody has a different way to rationalize it or a different way to get over it. Mine is, I grew up in Grand Junction, Colorado, and in nuclear we had this thing called the prairie dog shoot, and that's what I'm thinking. And I'm just picking off prairie dogs. And you're just methodical. You're just bam, bam, bam. It's not the movies. You're not turn on full auto and go, brrr. That's only if you have a machine gun do you do that. And you're just picking them off. And to me, it's not insensitive. They're trying to kill me. I'm going home. That's right. All right. They're trying to kill Americans, and we didn't. And I didn't start this. I didn't come and attack you guys. You're gonna come and attack me, then I'm gonna take as many down as I can. And we kill a lot of them, and we injure a lot of them. We had an unofficial body count of about 40. We never got an official body count because none of those battles have actually ever happened, and still some people up on the hill still say they didn't happen. But we did from an asset overseas that told us what happened. A guy that was friendly to us that gave us information. After that second firefight, we're feeling pretty good about ourselves, but we still, the bad thing is the ambassador and his location is still wearing on us. About an hour later, the Tripoli team with Glenn Doherty, who passed away that night, 3 more GRS operators and 2 Delta Force operators and a interpreter get to us. Delta lives and works with us at some venues, some places we're at. And they come into the compound, and out of all the guys that came in, Glenn is the only one that went up to the roof to assist and help supplement our positions. Everybody else goes into Building C. And Glenn goes up to Ty's roof. They're on Building C with Ty, there's Glenn, Dave Ubben, and Mark Osgeist. They're up on that roof. And for 10 minutes, everything's pretty quiet. There's a Libyan Shield militia that escorted our team from Benina Airfield to our compound, to the annex. So they're surrounding our annex. And after 10 minutes, I hear foom. And there's a chapter in the book that says mortars with a question mark. Well, that was me. I lost my hearing by DB. He shot this out with a sniper rifle because he's shooting right next to me. And of course, my Libyan Angel with his chrome-plated AK shot this one out. So my hearing's gone. And still, I'm supposed to wear hearing aids. I don't. Probably why I've been divorced. Everything, Master. Like, what? I can't hear you. What? It's not selective. Like, oh, it's selective hearing. No, really, I can't hear you. What are you saying? I actually enjoy not being able to hear, to be honest with you. So much nicer going through life when I can't hear what you're saying. Anyway, when I see that, and I hear it, and I kind of flinch, and I go, mortars? And then I'm looking back at Ty and Glenn's position. They're in front of me right here. And I see an explosion, just blam, it blows up. And then we get hit again on our backside of our gate. Now, I can't shoot at the targets because Glenn's position and Ty's position, Building C, is in my way. So I'm thinking, well, I'll just put rounds over their head, and that'll add to the fire, because Ty's got a machine gun, and he's got that trigger pulled. He's going cyclic. He's just zipping, just tons of rounds downrange. And again, it's just awesome in Nod's night vision, because you're just seeing it. And the other guys, Dave, Glenn, and Mark, are adding their fire. They're shooting, and I'm just trying to put rounds over their head to add more fire to it, so that more of those snaps over the enemy's head. And then I see another mortar hit, and this one hits the back side of the parapet. Every roof up there has a flat roof with about a 3-foot high parapet. And I see a guy go down. He says, I'm hit. And I didn't know at the time, but it was Dave Ubben, State Department officer. He caught a piece of shrapnel in his face. The other guys, though, they're still in the fight, because we're still fighting off the bad guys off the back side of the compound. And then I see, and this is where I think there was more than one mortar tube. I see a boom, 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 really quick, and my night vision just whites out. And as it comes back in, I'm seeing pixie dust. And pixie dust, what it is when a mortar or something hits a building or hits something that's concrete, sometimes it'll electrically charge the debris. So you're seeing a little pixie dust come down. And I'm not seeing any movement up on that roof anymore. And in my head, immediately, I'm like, they're dead. And when that happens, you want to feel sorry for yourself. But Jiminy Cricket kicks me in my butt, and he goes, get your head back in it. And I get my gun back up, and I start shooting. And now it's DB that's shooting out of his position, and Jack's shooting out of his position. And we're like, oh, we're going to get mortared again. We have nowhere to go, and we're just going to keep fighting until they blow us all up. Now, we're very lucky, or we're very blessed. I like to think the latter, or maybe a little bit of both. The Libyan Shield Militia commander got caught in Building C when it got mortared. And his Libyan Shield Militia guys that were out in front of our compound waiting on him, they took off and screamed off as soon as that first mortar hit. Now I'm thinking these guys are cowards getting out of here. They weren't. The Libyan Shield commander was calling them saying, hey, I'm in this building. You got to take out that mortar team. And I can hear in the distance, there's a firefight. I can hear cars screeching and the mortar stop. We were saved by a Libyan militia. Not by American forces, not by we were saved because he got caught in the building when the mortars hit. And that's why we're here. And that's why I also had asked for air support 3 times that night, is for something like that happened, which again, we never got. But that's how it goes. God answered me somehow. He brought somebody to save us. And they did. And I remember seeing Tig up on the roof, and all he sees is mass carnage up there. And there's a guy standing up, and I didn't know it at the time, but it was Oz. There's a guy that was trying to stand up. I could see a silhouette, and all I can see is this gun going like this. It just keeps... And what it was is, and Oz is a tough guy. He's kind of in shock, but he's very, very tough. And he had caught a piece of shrapnel and his arm was severed. It basically was a tendon, so it's just hanging there. But he doesn't realize it. And all I can think in his head is, I got to get back in the fight. And that's tough, and that's brotherhood to the T. I mean, that's the utmost. So what he's doing is he's trying to get his gun up, and it keeps falling down because he doesn't realize his arm's not there to support it. And I see Tig get up, and Tig sits him down, takes his weapon from him, gets a tourniquet on him, and stops the blood flow. Then he gets over to Dave Ubin. Now Dave's really bad off. Dave got a piece of shrapnel, that second mortar, in his face, and then Dave, while he was down, he catches shrapnel in his leg and his arm. So his leg's hanging by a tendon. It's almost off. His arm's hanging, same as Maz's. It's almost off. And Tig gets up there again. Outstanding training with night vision. He gets tourniquets on these guys, and he says that that's why they're alive today. Both of them are alive today. Oz has been on TV with me. He's a real ugly Marine that's on TV with me. Dave is still alive today, and actually Dave has been rehabilitated. His leg was actually reattached, and so was his arm, and he's still working. Amen. But he sees Ty and Glenn, and they're both dead. They died instantly. They're face down. Nothing we can do for them. Now, Mark actually got himself down from that roof. That just shows the toughness of Mark. When he got all bandaged up, he got down on his own, went back into the building C, and he got bandaged up really good because he's got shrapnel all down his side. The D-boys do finally come up after Tig was asking for help, and finally he had to use a couple expletives to say, hey, I need some help up here. I need some effing help up here. And finally they come up, and they all get Dave wrapped up like in a makeshift rucksack stretcher, and they get him down off. Because Dave's a big guy. He's about 6'3", 240. And during that time frame, though, we're just kind of, okay, what do we do now? Nobody's coming. Nobody's coming up. We're going to have to get out of here somehow. We just got hit again. And then we get a call on the radio, hey, there's a militia coming. They're going to block your compound down. My team leader, he goes, make sure they're friendlies. And this is about 6 in the morning. And I say, well, what size is the militia? And he goes, well, it's about 50 technicals. A technical is a truck with a machine gun in the back. And he goes, make sure they're friendlies or don't let them on the compound. And I remember getting across the radio going, okay, I have a rifle. I said, how am I supposed to stop them from coming on the compound? And of course I didn't, and I said it with more of a smart-ass tone than that. But I didn't get a response, I know. But again, this is one of those things where I see him coming, and it is a huge militia. And I see him coming towards us, and I remember looking at Dave going, could have used these guys at 9:30, right? DB. Well, I'm down there, and I'm just looking at the truck coming towards me. I'm watching this huge militia. I'm getting as small as I can behind that parapet. And you could have put a lump of coal up my butt and you would have come out a diamond. I was that tight. I was like, oh my gosh. And all I got is, I've cut my, sorry, I can't even tell you what, it's classified what type of optic I was using. But I got my optic on the commander. I think it's the commander in that front vehicle. And I'm thinking, I got to signal him. How do I signal him? Well, in these countries, there are so many Sudanese and Kenyans and Africans that come over to work that the Iraqis love to hang loose. They love the jumbo. And you could go by and go, Jumbo, and they know what to do. I mean, if they're friendly, they'll Jumbo you back. So I'm thinking, Jumbo, okay. And I got my hand off, and I'm just trying to stay small. I go like this. And he's got a big, huge piece of cot in his mouth. Cot's like it's an amphetamine that they chew. It's like Copenhagen on steroids, really. And he's got a big old piece of cot in his mouth, and he smiles, got that big brown smile because of all the cot stains, and he goes like this. And it was awesome. He smiled, and I got on there, I go, they're friendlies, let them in. And I was really happy. But they get in there, and now we can get out of the compound. There's only one problem that we have is we still have to get the dead bodies off the roof. Now, Ty and Glenn are extremely big guys. They were big CrossFit guys. Ty's a big dude. Glenn was a big guy. And dead weight is very hard to pick up. I mean, I'm no pun intended. It's just hard. So Tig has a great idea. Tig has smart. He says, oh, well, let's go get a tow strap and we'll put them under their armpits and we'll roll them down off the roof so we can get them down, because we don't have stairs down from the roofs, and the ladders that we have are makeshift. We make them so they're not going to hold the weight. It's going to be too hard. And they're actually, because of Oz getting down and Dave's body, the stairs are extremely slippery because they're all bloody. And I'm sorry, the the rungs. Well, the D-boys come out again, and they said, well, we'll get them down for you. We got you guys. Go get your stuff. Now, as they come get our stuff, we're going to get our stuff. D-boys start climbing up on the roof to get the bodies down. I go back onto my roof because I got to cover the Libyan Shield guys to pull out some guys that were in front of the field that were calling in fire on us. And Jack gets up on his roof to cover the D-boys to get the bodies down. And I see Jack out of the corner of my eyes, and he flinches like something happened. I'm like, wow, what is that? And I kind of look out over my left shoulder, and Tig's on the ground right by building C, and it's like something happened. It was a reaction, and I didn't know what it was. Now my hearing's gone, so I'm thinking, well, are we getting shot at? And I'm looking around, kind of freaking a little bit. And I see the D-boys picking up Ty's body, putting him on the parapet, and they roll him off the roof. And before we know it, they got Glenn's body, and they pick him up, and they roll him off the roof. And it's hard to hear and I didn't see him hit, but I heard him. And it's hard to hear your friend's body hit a sidewalk. And Glenn actually hit a bush, and it cut his stomach open, and when it hit, So we got through all that, and then our buddies' bodies are basically desecrated by our own guy, by a military force. Now, right, wrong, or indifferent, I'm not going to get mad at the D-boys. What I am mad at is that the families were told that their bodies were handled with care. And we told the families what actually happened 18 months after the incident. So the D-boys did the wrong thing. Yeah, they did. They shouldn't have done it. But the leaders that should have been telling the families what had happened were telling them lies. They're saying, hey, the guys' bodies were handled with care. Now, believe us, it was difficult for us to go to them and say, hey, this is actually what happened. A mother doesn't want to hear her son was dropped off a roof and his gut split open. But it's the right thing to do. That's what you do. And you take the consequences on after. But they weren't mad at us. They were very happy that we told them the truth. Well, we picked their bodies up, and we put them on the back of a flatbed truck. We don't body bags. We put sheets on them. Tig says a prayer over Glenn's body. I say a prayer over Ty's body, and we get out of there, and we finally leave. Now, there's some more stuff that happened at our annex, but I'll let you read about it. We finally get to Benin Airfield. It's about 7 o'clock. The Tripoli team had gotten to us, not by military assets. They had actually rented a plane. They chartered a plane and flew to us from Tripoli to Benin, to Benghazi. And it literally chartered, the flight attendants and everything, the uniforms and everything. And when we get to the airfield, there's a lot of things that go on, but I'm going to tell you just a couple things because I think they were kind of funny. Oz is still coherent. Oz is an old cowboy. Oz has watched too many John Wayne movies, but he said something that was really cool, and I wish I would have said it. It's really cool. He's bleeding, he's hurt, but he goes, when we get to the airfield, he's in the back of a pickup truck, he goes, I walked into this country, I'm going to walk out. And I thought, that's cool. It's corny, but that is awesome, dude. I did not think of that. And he starts moving like Frankenstein towards that. He's moving like Frankenstein towards that plane. And that flight attendant in her uniform, her eyes come to about here, and her pantyhose, I know, got about 2 pounds heavier because everybody's like, well, that's it. I thought it was funny. I'm like, welcome, how you doing? You thought you were going to be picking up some debutantes and stuff. You're picking up some bloody people. And she runs back into the fuselage. I'm thinking she's going to get a pilot to help Oz come up the stairs. But she comes out with a stack of white towels, and she starts throwing them down so Oz doesn't bleed on her plane. And I'm still laughing because I think that's hilarious. And all of us thought that was kind of funny. I even think Oz probably thought it was kind of funny, even though he's going in and out. Now, Dave can't walk. Again, his legs basically sheared off. And so we have to get him on that plane, that charter plane. And, it's just a normal charter plane, and we have to wiggle him on there because he's a big guy. We get him on, he starts going convulsions. But we had a very good, all of us go through live tissue training. All of us go through a lot of medic training in between stints, in between deployments. And one of our guys from Tripoli saw that a tourniquet had been come loose, so he tightened it back up and stopped that blood flow. And then we get everybody, all of the non-shooters on that plane, and they close the door and they start to flap, and there's a pop. Like somebody shot inside the plane. And all I'm thinking is there's got to be a candid camera around there somewhere because this is ridiculous. What else can happen? Well, the HVAC tech, he was weapons qualified. He had tried to clear his pistol. And I think he probably went through his his pistol training in Southern California, where they don't learn how to really handle weapons, unless you're a gangster, I guess. But what he did is, you know, if you're going to clear your weapon, drop the magazine, rack that slide a few times, make sure there's no round, check in the chamber, put it away. He drops the magazine, he pulls the trigger, and then he's very lucky. He shot between his legs, and he didn't hit himself. God's looking out for him, definitely. He better be praying. But the problem was the plane wouldn't leave because we had to find that bullet. The pilot didn't want to go if the fuselage was punctured. And again, very blessed, the bullet actually lodged in the metal framing of the seat. So we found it, got it out of there. They took off. They got to Tripoli. There was a special forces team in Tripoli that wasn't allowed to come to us, but luckily their 18 Delta, their head medic was there, and he helped really stabilize Dave and Mark. We waited there. 9:30, 10:30, we're still there. Nobody's coming for us. Finally, there's a cargo plane that lands, and I'm looking at the tail boom, and the bag of tail, it's the green in the tail boom, and I'm thinking, man, that's Stars and Stripes. I'm colorblind, or that's not an American plane. It's a Libyan plane. It lands, and we're thinking, well, maybe State Department got the Libyans to come help us. And it just goes right on by us. And it goes about 3/4 of a mile down there, turns right, parks, shuts its engines down. And I remember looking at my team leader, not my Benghazi team leader, my Tripoli team leader that came in, and he's solid. That guy was solid, ex-Marine, awesome guy. And I look at him going, hey, what's going on? He looks at me and he just shrugs his shoulders. He immediately gets in a truck with an interpreter, and they drive down there. And I see him talking to the pilot, and I see him talking to the crew, and I see the pilot nodding his head. He gets in the plane, turns it back on, the crew jumps on, and the team leader motions to us like this, come on down, and we all run down there. We have all our dead. We have the ambassador at that point too. The Ansar Sharia brought the ambassador to us. I want to tell you, I know there's things out there, the ambassador was mutilated and all that. He wasn't, no. I inspected his body I was the one that looked at his body from this far away, a foot away. And I went all the way down it. I even looked in the body bag because I wanted to make sure there were no IEDs in it. He had died of smoke inhalation. And I kind of get mad at people that do that. I know what their intentions are, but they're bad because you're really hurting the family. And I've told the family, and they know that his body wasn't desecrated. I let them know. But he wasn't. He died of smoke inhalation. Well, we get on that plane, we load up, and we fly home. That plane wasn't for us. It just showed up, luckily. And we were very lucky that we had the Wernthal and a good interpreter that was able to talk them into flying us home. I don't know if we ever would have got out of there, which is, hey, it's how it is. And that's really Benghazi in a nutshell. Now, what I want to get out of this though, and I don't want people leaving, oh man, it's like, you can be angry, that's fine. But that was a great night. I would go back and I was with guys that we love each other. We hate each other some days, but we really love and care for each other. And you don't get that anywhere else. Also, you know, those are only really, if you're going to feel God in the most extreme circumstances, that's where you get to feel Him. And I felt Him. And I've had it before. I know He's there. It just reaffirmed my faith in Christianity, definitely. But really what I want to get out of this, and this is self-serving, this is for me, so it's a little bit selfish. I came back from Benghazi, and I got back to the States, and I saw the videos and all that stuff that is not true. I'm going to tell you right now, there's no video that caused the attack. There were no protests that caused the attack. Al-Qaeda was flying their flag in Benghazi while we were there, and we were putting it up. We were putting up our chain of command. So when I got back and started to see all that, and started to see people turn us, and started to see people believe in this basically lie, this fabrication, I hated this place. I honestly say I can relate to some of the Vietnam vets that came home and weren't accepted. Because it's like they were basically calling us liars. And they said, no, that didn't happen. No, that didn't happen. Facebook didn't say that happened. It didn't happen. And I left. I was like, screw this country. I'm leaving. I'm out. And I went back to Yemen, and I worked again. Because the only people I trusted were the people I was on the ground with. Now, as this got forward, and we finally decided as a team to tell the story, because it was really, the lies were really dishonoring the memories and the courageous acts that was going on. And I wrote the book with the other guys, and then I started speaking, and I started coming around people again, and how much support we were getting. You know what? My patriotism is back 110%. Yeah. So what I want to tell you guys, because you people like yourself have saved me. I wouldn't be on this earth, literally, if it wasn't for you folks. I would have done something to myself because I didn't want to be here. Or I would have kept going over, which I still probably might. But I want to say thank you to you folks. I don't want, you guys don't need to say thanks to me. I did what I needed to do because that was my job. And I enjoyed it. I had a good time. But I want to thank you folks, because if it wasn't for people like you and me continually speaking, and I speak every day, and it's incredible. I get tired, but every time I get up in front of folks, that energy comes back. I want to say thank you, and thank you to all the veterans that came before me, because all those stories I read in Vietnam, Battle of the Bulge, you guys went through hell, and I just wanted to uphold those kind of standards, and that's all I'm thinking. The hunter-killer teams from the Ranger Lima from the Ranger companies, and all those guys in the 101st. Thank you guys, because if it wasn't for y'all, I wouldn't be here, and I literally wouldn't be on this earth and trying to enjoy this beautiful day with you folks. And I want to thank Kim especially, even though she was panicking half the time we were on the phone. Like, Kim, people are going to show up. I said, do you see this face? They're going to show up. Exactly, but thank.
I tried to get that sexy shot, and you just wouldn't.
I know, I wouldn't. I can't take my shirt off yet. I know. But thank you folks again, and thank you for listening to me, and I'm just honored that I could come to a place and Pastor, thank you, sir. And God bless y'all. Thank you so much. Do you want to do questions? Do you want to take it?
Yeah, we got a few minutes if you want to do questions.
About 5. Yes, sir. I got 1, 2, and 3. Got it.
Any reactions to what happened in France last night?
No, I'll be honest. No, you put your hand in the fire, it's going to get burned. When you let people in that country, and you let it happen, that's what's going to happen. I don't. And maybe that's. I don't. People don't. Are you remorseful? No, I'm not. People died. Yeah, that shouldn't have happened. But you set yourself up for that. So that's my reaction. My reaction is, when I saw it, it was, all right, you're idiots. You deserve what you get. But the sad thing is, the people specifically don't deserve that, because but it also depends on who they elected and put in office. So that's where my thinking is. No, and I don't have any anger. So that's my reaction. Is just, you're dumb. You pay for, you get what you pay for. Yep.
Try to make this fast.
Yes, sir.
1970, I was on a recon,
Yep.
101st Airborne, and Nixon was president.
Yep.
And we were on a recon, probably, I think we were in Cambodia,
Mm-hmm.
and we got our supplies kicked out in our mail. My mom had sent me a clip from the San Francisco Examiner saying Nixon had pulled all troops, all combat troops out of the field, and they were all just at government compound. I was 40 miles away from the nearest compound.
Yep.
So I knew this is before Watergate, right? I knew the government lied to us, right? So as soon as I heard this Benghazi crap, I knew that was going on. And my question to you guys is, in this day and age, 13 hours, are you telling me that there were no F-16?
No, there, and I'll tell you where all the assets were.
Why didn't somebody
I can't tell you. I don't know why. I want that question answered, but I can tell you where the assets were. There was a fast company in Sigonella that was on the tarmac waiting to come to us and was turned around at midnight.
Whose call was that?
Well, State Department came in and took over from DOD. Now, as much as I, and Mr. Panetta, I think Mr. Panetta is I don't think he's the strongest leader in the world. He actually was doing the right thing. He had Department of Defense spun up. Fast company was coming from Sigonella. The Aviano Air Base, which is the F-15s, F-16s, were getting spun up. The Delta team was coming from the States to us. And at midnight, State Department came in. I'm saying State Department. I'm not going to point it at a specific person. I'm going to say State Department came in, took over the op, and turned everybody around. That's where it is.
Do you feel betrayed by
I do.
the government for them doing
Oh,
that?
yeah. Yeah, I do. Of course I do. But again, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm fighting a war. It's a war of attrition right now. I haven't got a battle overseas anymore right now until after it's all. So I'm doing what I need to do to do my part to fight back. So yes, sir. I do. Yes, ma'am.
I heard there was 20 or 24 people that you got out alive.
A little bit more.
I want to know where they are. We haven't heard anything.
Yeah.
No media, nothing. Do
Well, you know, it takes a lot of courage to stand up. A lot of those people aren't going to come forward because, I'll be honest, they don't have a lot of courage. They also are more worried about their jobs than they are about telling the truth, and that's the biggest reason right there. Now, a lot of them have testified. 2 of them that have testified lied under oath. I know that for a fact. All right, but the other ones, they have been threatened. They have been threatened with their jobs, and they've been threatened by losing their annuities when they retire. Now, the 6 of us, well, I'm sorry, the 5 of us, we did lose our jobs. We were told that if we did the book, we had to resign. But that was a sacrifice. There aren't very many people that are willing to sacrifice their comfortable way of life anymore than to do the right thing. So, ma'am, will you ever see them in the media? Probably not. But Trey's called on the majority of them. But I don't know if all of them have told the truth or not. But we'll find out. So yes, ma'am. They just won't come forward because they're going to lose their jobs or their retirement. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you for what you've done.
No, thank you.
In your small circle of friends,
Mm-hmm.
I think we have some of the worst leadership this country's ever seen.
Yeah.
And I've got sons. I come from a military family. But with the leadership that we've got, I mean, what do your friends say in your small circle of group?
Well, you don't. Well, you never. And this is the thing. When the bullets start flying, or when you're overseas, you don't worry about that up there. All you care about is that guy next to you, and that's where it goes to. That's why, I went back overseas again. When the chips were down and I felt betrayed by my own government, I didn't roll around. I quit. I want to go back and be with my buds because that's who you fight for. I mean, do you fight for your country? You fight for the people in your country. You fight for patriotism. Do you fight for your government? No. Heck no. But you fight. Your main reason is you're fighting for that boy next to you, and that's why. So when I have had people come up to me and say, "Man, should I go in the military? Should I go in the military? Man, it's terrible right now. I don't know if the leadership's good." I say, brother, yes, it's an honorable job. Just you rely on your brother. Don't worry about what that leadership is saying because they don't have a clue what's going on up there. Just rely on your brother. Do the right thing. You know, if you have to listen to, you've got your Bible. You know what the Constitution says. Rely on those 2 things. Stick next to your battle buddy, and you'll be fine. Because you still should go and serve. Everybody should go and serve. Just because we have the leadership that's not supportive of the military right now, as much as it is in the past, and I don't think they're very supportive at all, doesn't mean that you don't go in, because you still have to have those guys over there to sacrifice and willing to fight for us still over here. So it's a good question, but again, I don't trust the government by any means. Both sides. We've been betrayed by both the right and the left. So I take a couple more, and then I got to sign books, guys. I'm sorry. This gentleman and this gentleman. Yes, sir.
Kris, you demonstrated a lot of integrity. I think you might be the perfect person to explain to Hillary Clinton what difference does it make. Come on.
I think we are, by being lucky enough to have a very well written book by a very strong author. Mitchell is incredible. And also, man, that movie is very powerful. And we wouldn't have got it done without a powerful person like Michael Bay and his. We had to have Paramount. We had to have that big budget in there, because if we would have had a smaller movie, it probably would have got knocked down. And he did it right. So we are. People are all going to see now. It's out now. And what I love about the movie more than the book is great. The book is more detailed, of course. It's hard to get 13 hours in an hour and a half movie. But the young young people, they don't like to read as much. But they will go see a Michael Bay movie so it's going to get out to more people. And also, it stays apolitical. The movie does not get in the politics of it, because the truth doesn't need to get political. And it lets people use their common sense. This is what happened. We're not going to go back and show Hillary or Obama, because we don't know what they were doing. I have no idea. I don't know what Speaker Boehner was doing. I have no idea. But you're going to show what the guys were actually doing, and y'all are smart enough to figure it out. And that's what's beautiful. So yes, the difference doesn't make. We're taking the battle slowly. We have to. We have to just got to keep punching away, and eventually we're going to see some action. And you have to have faith too. Yeah. One more. I got one more, brother. Well,
Besides all the terrorists that you guys killed that night, well, our president got in front of the American people and
Yeah.
said that he would hunt the ones down to the end
They,
of the earth that got away.
No.
You know how many they have brought?
The guy Abu Khatala, the guy that was caught that was supposed to be the mastermind, he wasn't. He was no mastermind. In fact, and he was also a 17th February Mars Brigade commander. So now he was part of the attack, and he's a bad guy. One was killed in Yemen because he was with the wrong person. The target, he wasn't the target. He was with the target that we were trying to hit in Yemen, and he died. Other than that, no. Nobody else has been brought down. So, and you know, guys, I know I want to take more questions, but I got to sign books if that's okay. And you and I will chat. We'll chat after. But thanks, guys. Thank you.